Can anybody believe in this theory seriously? Unfortunately, yes. Around 10% of Americans, 3% of the UK population, and 7% of Brazilians actually believe in this dogma. Some say that around Antarctica there are ice mountains of a height that is unbelievable, so that if one crosses it, then he would surely fall off the edge of the Earth. This raises many important questions about the sun and the moon. If the Earth is flat, then how does day and night occur? On September 28, 2002, an American 46-year-old man named Mike Hughes did something quite unusual to gain a world record. He was a limousine driver by profession. He jumped 130 feet in the long jump with a 3,000-kilogram vehicle, thereby claiming the record for the longest limousine ramp jump. But that was not the end of it. In 2014, he used a rocket he built in his garage to reach an altitude of 13,000 feet. Though he sustained injuries in the crash, he did not give up. In 2016, he announced that he would launch rockets into space from a height of 32 kilometers through balloons. He was known as Mad Mike for his stunts. Mike launched a Kickstarter to raise more than $100,000 to finance his new project. He initially raised just $310 from 2 supporters, but gained much attention and funding from the flat Earth community for his public skepticism of science and for wanting to verify the shape of Earth for himself. He added, "I think the world is shaped differently than what we were taught in public schools," continuing that Antarctica is a 150-foot ice wall that keeps the oceans in place. Those statements caught the hearts of the flat earthers, where he said, "I do not believe anyone can convince me that the world is round because they have no proof." According to surveys, this is the extent of belief that a major part of society still upholds in their belief systems. 10% of Americans believe this. In Brazil and Bulgaria, the rate is approximately at 3%. Similar estimates are there for Britain too. Many educated persons among the scholars have promoted such theories. The flat Earth theory suggests that our planet looks dissimilar from what we've been taught. Great minds in the past, such as the ancient Greek philosopher Pythagoras, noticed around 500 BC that the moon and sun were round in shape, and he surmised that the Earth was round too. Later, Aristotle remarked that it is during the lunar eclipse time that Earth projects a curved shadow on the moon, besides ships being covered by a horizon in a curved manner implying a curved Earth. In about 200 BC, with shadow measurements, Eratosthenes could ascertain the circumference of the Earth. Earth was accepted by the 1600s as round with little possible serious doubt, but the book, Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe, published by Samuel Rowbotham in 1865, proved popular in the Flat Earth Society. He explained that when standing by the sea, the horizon always appears as flat and that surfaces of waters are flat, which constituted evidence supporting a flat Earth model. Some flat earthers depict an infinite ice mountain along the edge of the Earth. They believe that night and day occur because of the movement of the sun and the moon in a circular motion above the Earth, illuminating the space like 2 spotlights. One of the leading voices of this group is Mark Sargent. He believes that sunlight is warm and moonlight is cold. He based his theory on the fact that it feels warmer by day and colder by night. That is not scientific. This resulted in a new modern flat Earth movement that began in the 1800s with William Carpenter's book, 100 Proofs That the Earth is Not a Globe. Proponents of the theory often misinterpret religious text in an attempt to prove the legitimacy of their arguments. One of the most blatant examples of this is when the Bible says the 4 corners of the earth. Interpretations of verses within the Quran have been contorted to suit the flat Earth viewpoint, which asserts there is a dome-like atmosphere over the Earth. As many as 70% of today's flat earthers subscribe to this notion. Based on studies, flat earthers tend to also be supporters of other conspiracy theories. Most believe in a host of unsubstantiated ideas, like gravity does not exist and dinosaurs do not live anymore. Flat earthers often relate various theories together. They sometimes even say that logos, like the United Nations logo, represent a flat Earth because they are 2-dimensional. So why do people cling to those unproven ideas? 4 reasons have been identified. First, convenience. simpler explanations are often more appealing. For instance, a more complex discussion on global warming may be eclipsed by a simpler but also false explanation that is easier to relate to. Someone might suggest that the best response is to pretend to ignore the data and pay attention only to how bracing it is today. Maybe the chilliest day in 5 years, and that explodes the myth of global warming. Which explanation do you find more convincing? Most would agree the first explanation, supported by data and scientific reasoning, is stronger. Many, however, opt for the simpler, more convenient explanation that requires them to take no personal action. Not acknowledging global warming allows them to avoid the drastic changes in their lifestyle and associated fears. Beliefs are also to a great extent intuitive. People believe what comes intuitively to their minds. Take, for example, the flat Earth theorists who reject the complicated concepts in science, such as gravity and mathematics. They are bound by what they see before their eyes, seeing a flat ground as evidence of an Earth that is flat in shape. This means a huge Earth is beyond perception in the curvature of its outline. Hence, a faulty judgment based on little observation and not scientific knowledge. There's even a psychological phenomenon that states the Dunning-Kruger effect. People with minimal knowledge in a field overestimate their understanding. People typically start to have self-doubts about their expertise as they acquire more knowledge. Conspiracy theorists often tell people to do your own research. That's always a good idea. But the problem is that folks without the tools to critically assess evidence rely on intuition rather than fact. Intuitively, no, because complex issues don't readily come to a person. For example, Samuel, who was a flat Earth adherent in 1838, devised an experiment. He placed the flag on a boat in the long, straight river. And he said, "Oh, I see the flag at a distance." The conclusion was, the Earth is flat, forgetting how light bends to reach into the eyes in a refracted way of light, or different from mirages as seen in a desert area. Later, John Hampden challenged Samuel's claims by offering a prize to whoever could disprove his experiment. The biologist Alfred Wallace accepted the challenge and set up an experiment using a bridge and telescope to prove Earth's curvature. The results proved Samuel wrong, but Hampden refused to pay the promised amount, stating there was no written agreement. Critical thinking is required here for such beliefs. In a nutshell, it makes you question your ideas as well as assumptions constantly. Had Samuel applied critical thinking in his experiment, perhaps he would have realized its flaw and looked for other experiments that could support his conclusion better than this one. At this point, he only relied on his initial intuition as this was easy. The mistrust of the authorities and the institutions also adds to it. There are some individuals who strongly believe in a conspiracy theory, but simultaneously keep skepticism about the sources established. They deny the evidence found by the organizations such as NASA or the scientific literature, because these organizations are all part of the broader conspiracy for them. It is irrational to be distrusting since one has failed to think over the cooperation that requires between two rival nations to support such deception. A tragic example is a man known as Mad Mike, who claimed to believe that the Earth is flat to raise money and fund his stunts so he can die by being launched in a homemade rocket. Later, people find out he never believed this theory, but used it only for seeking attention and obtaining money and donations from flat Earth believers. These are reasons why critical thinking and understanding the reasons for beliefs in conspiracy theories are essential. If you believe in such theories, you consider these 4 points. If not, you are likely easily misled.